truthfulness, is reflecting the pshitus of the Atzmus, the pshitus of Hashem. The truth is simple. God is simple. Truth is simple. And Chaya Edel is simple. Good Chodesh, everyone. Now it's the eve of Rosh Chodesh Shvat, and we want to dedicate the shiur Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend and sister Chaya Edel Bas Simcha Alea Shalom. Tonight is her Shloshim, and tomorrow night we are gathering for a Shloshim. And I'm glad that you are here, Krendel, that you are here. I saw the beautiful picture. Somebody showed me a beautiful picture of the two of you at the wedding.
At the wedding.
Yeah, I sent it to Hannah. I could.
Yes, it's. I hold it so. It's so dear, so precious.
Thank you. Me
so
too,
we will
me
get
too.
back to speak a little bit about Chaya Edel and tomorrow night more at the end of the shiur. And now we also want to dedicate the shiur Le'ilu Nishmas, Nechama's mother. Please say her full Hebrew name and her father's name.
Ariana June Bas Abraham.
Okay, so we have a rich program tonight, and we see how we'll fit everything into time and space. We will first learn Tanya. After Tanya, we do a little bit as an idea of avoida from the Parsha. And then we will talk a little bit, a nekuda from Dvar Malchus, from the Rebbe. And then we'll end with Rosh Chodesh Shvat, that is tonight, is a special time, and connected to Chaya Edel Alea Shalom. And we see Hashem should help us to do all this in Al Derech HaEmes. First, we are in the last perek of Likutei Amarim, Nun Gimel 53, on page 148. It's like the middle of the page, the line that starts Hamikdash Ein Lo LaHakadosh Baruch Hu. Hamikdash. And it really starts two words before, Meshacharav Beis Hamikdash. So we were talking about Bais Rishon and Bais Sheni. Every world, just as every person has to have a brain, that through the brain, as we learn, the soul vitalizes the body, and the brain takes the energy from the soul and filters it and allocates it and disseminates it the way each organ needs it according to the function of every organ, and it spreads it throughout the body. So too every world has to have a brain. And the brain is the mikdash, is the Beis HaMikdash of each world, which the Chabad of each world, whether it was a physical Beis HaMikdash, now we don't have, or a spiritual Beis HaMikdash. And that is the brain, the Chabad, through which the Torah, with the Shekhinah, come down to every world and becomes the center, the brain of divine energy to that world, and from this, that world is created and receives its chayus. So we spoke about the fact that, Baruch Hashem, in our world, this manifestation was begashmius kipshuto. That means that the Shekhinah rested in the physical Beis HaMikdash. We know that there was a descent, not in the origin of the light. The light that comes down, the divine light that comes down in every world and every time is the same light that comes from Chochmah of Atzilus. That's where Torah comes from. And then it goes into Malchus of Atzilus, which is the Shekhinah, and from there comes into each world, the created worlds. But there's a difference between Bais Rishon and Bais Sheni, not in the light itself, but the way it came down. The way it came down in the second temple, in comparison to the first temple, that divine light and energy was covered up with more garments, was with more hislapshus, was more invested and took on the levushim of each world. It's like the difference between a local train and an express train. The express train just goes b'derech ma'avar, passes through the stations, doesn't stop, doesn't take on the levushim of each station. And that's how the light goes from Atzilus in a direct way without being invested in each world, in its Chabad, and in Chagas, and then Nehim, and the Malchus, and then the next world, and so on. So in Bais Rishon, the first temple, the train was more express. And in Bais Sheni, it was more local, and therefore that divine light was covered with more garments. And therefore it was a lower revelation of light in the second temple. However, there was a maila, dafka, a virtue, dafka an advantage, dafka specifically in the second temple. And this maila is shayach to the whole divine plan, which is to have a dira b'tachtonim, which is to have Hashem revealing himself in the lowest realm of creation. So what does it mean? That dafka the Bais Sheni, and even after Bais Sheni, the second temple, after the second temple was destroyed, which where we are now, Galus, complete Galus. But let's first begin with second temple. The Maila is that the Ashras Shechina, because it's a lower level, and it's a time of Helem and Hester, the Ashras Shechina, the Shechina dwells on a lower reality, in the more darker place. And that's why it says, by the Navi Chagai the Navi says, Gadol yeh kvod habayis hazeh acharon min harishon. Chagai says, I'm not reading inside yet, I'm just giving you a hakdama, a little preface, that it says in Chagai that Gadol yeh habayis hazeh acharon min harishon. The last bayis, which means the last temple, will be greater than the second temple. The simple meaning of this pasuk, that the way the Gemara explains it, is that Chagai talks about the second temple, that was actually greater than the first temple. Psi in space, it was a little bigger, and Psi in time. It lasted another 10 years. The first temple lasted 410 years, and the second temple stood for 420 years. So it's bigger in time and space. The Zohar though says that this pasuk that Chagai is talking about is the third temple, that will be greater than the first temple in many ways, in all ways. Which means that the third temple will include the Maila of the first temple and the Maila of the second temple. And the third temple is more shayach, more connected to the third and the eternal temple, that we are all waiting any moment to see it there in Yerushalayim, has more connection to the second temple than to the first. Why? Because even though the time of the second, after the second temple, and especially in the time of the second temple, and especially after it was destroyed, the matzav of Am Yisrael was way lower, of course, our spiritual condition. And the whole world, therefore, descended to a lower level of spiritual condition. Nevertheless, dafka because of that, the Shekhinah now has to rest and dwell in a lower condition. And in order to reach and be accessible in a lower, darker conditions, it has to be a greater light. It has to come from a higher place. to go so low. And that's the Maila of the Bais Sheni over the Bais Rishon. Even though the first temple had a greater revelation, was a greater light, was not covered up like the second temple, the Maila of the second temple is very precious to Hashem. As it says in the Yom Yom of Chavtes Menachem Av, I think, 4 months ago. It says that higher is that when one is led by the hand and moved forward and higher. But more precious is when one moves bekoach atzmo, when he does it on his own toil and efforts. And that's the Maila of our avoida during a lower time of consciousness, when it's more dark and there's no revelations, we don't feel close to God, we feel that He's far, we feel that it's dark, there's a loss, there are mournings, the Hepech HaChaim, all kinds of tragedies, sad things happen. But dafka in that, the Shekhinah has to come. And that's what Hashem really wishes. The dafka in those, and this is the Basi Legani of this year as well. Or en sof lemala, mala ad en ketz. It's the treasure that is given to us, that Hashem is revealing how He is even beyond revelation. And that's the treasure that is the weapon, the power that is being given now to us. So dafka after avoida, dafka in Zman HaGalus, will come the third Beis HaMikdash. Because we are working milamata lemaila. This is precious to Hashem. We are working on ourselves, we are working on the world, we are working on starting from below. We are breaking through all the clippers, all the coverings and all the concealments that cover up over the truth of reality, which is Einod Milvadoi. So now, what happens after Bais Sheni? Look inside. Umishecharav Beis HaMikdash. What happened after Beis HaMikdash? The physical temple was destroyed. Even the second one. Then there is an additional descent and a lack of Gilui Eloki in the world, of revelation of godliness in the world. And now the Shekhinah cannot be even the way it was in Bais Sheni. There's no temple. So what did Chazal say about this condition? We still cannot live without a brain. How can one live without a brain? We can't. So can't the world. So therefore, אין לו לקדוש ברוך הוא בעולמו, אלא דלת עמוס של הלכה בלבד. Hashem, the only thing that Hashem has in His world is the 4 cubits of halacha, the 4 amos of halacha. We'll explain. So it's clear to us, after learning the last few prakim, that even after the Churban, after the destruction, even at the time of Galus, when you have the experience is the lowest level of Gilui Elokus, there has to be a brain that will contain the hashpah, the energy that is shaykh to this world, of the Shekhinah, and will filter it and disseminate it the way it's needed to the world, to different aspects of the world. And even more than that, if you have in mind that Hashem has a purpose to all this, not just to create Seder Ishtashlus, and now there are worlds and He keeps sustaining them. There is a goal to all this. And the goal is to have Dira B'Tachtonim, to reveal Himself without any coverings in this lowest world. So you need even a greater Gilui Eloki than the regular Beis HaMikdash. You need even more than that. So where is it coming from now if there's no temple? Therefore, teaches us the Rebbe, that after Churban Bayis Sheni, after the second temple, there is Ashras HaShechina. The Shechina is still dwelling in this world, but in the lower manner, even lower than Bayis Sheni, even lower than the second temple. However, let's not forget, it's a deeper Islabshus. It's lower, but it comes deeper into the world because it's the lowest conditions of the world. So it permeates even all the world, all the way to the lowest conditions. So the Rebbe is going to teach us that the place of Hashem in this world, where the Shechina can dwell at time of Galus, is Daled Amos Shel Halacha Bilvad, is only the Daled Amos of Halacha, which means the central place from where Halacha and guidance and Hashpah comes to the whole world. And we will see that this is really the essentially Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel, where the Rebbe is in every generation, the center of dissemination of Torah. But this can be also broken down to smaller centers. Each shul, each Beis Medrash, each synagogue, each shul is also a little Beis Mikdash Me'at, and there the Shechina dwells as well. It's a sub-brain. It's a little temple. And then the Rebbe says, ואפילו אחד שיושב ועוסק בתורה. Even one who sits and is engaged in Torah. Osek is not stam just reading to do the chitas so I can go to sleep, but to really osek b'Torah, to learn to be invested. And esek is business. Business, as the Rebbe teaches us, is only, the Gemara says, if you sell the same price that you bought, that's not business, because they're not making profit. Business means you have to make profit. So we learn Torah in a manner that Torah comes from Har Chorev, from the Mount Sinai is called Har Chorev. Chorev means also cherev, like a sword. Torah is a weapon with which we conquer the world. And therefore, it has to be our asik. We have to make profit. Every time we learn Torah, there has to be more light in ourselves and in the world. So says the Rebbe, anyone who sits down and learns Torah sincerely, Shechina imo, the Shechina is with him. Kedeisa bebrachos perek kama, as it's brought in the Gemara in the first chapter of Brachos. Of course, it's understood that the Ashras HaShechina, the way the Shechina dwells by one person who is Oisek B'Torah, doesn't reach the level of the Shechina that dwells when there is a tzibur, when there is a group of people. And in this itself there are many dargos. It depends on the level of the size of the shul, the physical size, how many mispalelim, how many people, what level of shul, what kind of sincerity, what kind of kavanos. There are different temples, many levels. But the main one is Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel, which in our time is 770, Beis Mashiach. That's what the Gemara says, that in time of Galus, that's where Mikdash Me'at is. This is where the Shechina is, in Bavel or in any other Galus. And it's very interesting, I want to move on, but it's very interesting that the Gemara doesn't say that the Shechina dwells in the Beis Medrash of Rabbeinu Bebavel. It says in Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel, in the house of the Rebbe, of the leader in Bavel, in Galus. So it's not just the Beis Medrash, it's where the Rebbe is, because it's about him where the Shechina is dwelling. Just as a side comment. I don't know if it's side or not side. But that's the main place of Ashras HaShechina. Perush, that means what the Rebbe just mentioned, that Kol ha'osek b'Torah, anyone who is engaged in learning Torah sincerely, and especially Daled Amos of Halacha, the Rebbe will explain why Dafka Halacha, why Dafka the Daled Amos, the territory of Halacha. There are other aspects to Torah. Why not the whole Torah? That the Rebbe will explain. But anyone who is learning Torah, Shechina imo, what does it mean? Of course, not the same level of Shechina in Beis HaMikdash, and not even the second Beis HaMikdash, but Hashras HaShechina that is in the Torah kederech ishtalshelus, says the Rebbe, which means the way it goes in the gradual way, the way the divine light goes through the worlds and through the spheros, the normal, natural way of Gilui Elokus, which is in this world, which is the lowest level of the world of Asiya. And for this, there has to be V'Islabshus Malchus de Atzilus. You have to have the whole process of Malchus of Atzilus has to be invested and enclosed in Malchus of Bria, and then both of them have to be enclosed in Malchus Beyitzira, and then the three of them in Malchus of Asiya. So a local train, as we said before. And in Zman HaGalus, it comes in the most garments, the most gradual way. And as it goes down, it becomes more and more and more concealed. At the same time, there is something very special that is happening now. And with this, you're going to stop here. And next time, we'll explain why Dafka Daled Amos Shel Halacha, connecting to the mitzvahs that are done Dafka in this physical world. But there's something very special happening as a result of our connection and our relationship with God at the time of Bais Sheni, and even more so at the time of Galus. Because we are finding ourselves in all kinds of conditions that are not enlightened. There are dark conditions, whether it is internal or external. And to that, by keeping our relationship with Torah and keeping our relationship with Hashem and with mitzvahs, to that we bring in the Shekhinah. And this is really what God wishes, to reveal himself into the lowest places, into the darkest places. And this is especially shaykh to this world and to this time in the world. And now in the last war that we are fighting now, that Basil Legani is talking about, in which the king has to win. And that means that now the war is not just surviving, about survival. The war is about the Jewish pride that has to be presented to the whole world. That the Jew should not be embarrassed anymore to feel one with his shlichus and say, yes, we are the chosen people, that we are chosen to bring God into this world and to be the teachers and the nurturers of this world and to be the bridge through which God can unify and unite with this world. And we have to come out proudly to the world and show this light, show the uniqueness of our wisdom, of our God, our being as God's people, and do it in such a way that the light should shine bright in the lowest conditions, the lowest accusations and finger pointing and insanity and falseness and lies that are thrown at us. We need to stand stark and strong as the people of God and not to be embarrassed, and show that we are the Kodesh HaKodashim. We are the Holy of Holies through which the divine comes into this world. And if the world wants to exist and want to have a good world, then they should support each and every individual Jew to be as much of a Jew that he can, so he can fulfill this shlichus of Hashem in creating the Or B'Tachtonim. The happy end will come in Mir Hashem next week. of Likutei Amarim, Be'ezras Hashem. Now, I want to bring something from the Chodesh Shvat, from the Sivus Shalom, but we do it in a very kitzur way. And that is regarding our Parashas boy. When Hashem is saying to Moshe Rabbeinu, listen, go to Paro. Actually, this time it's Boel Paro. That we'll do later what the Rebbe said about that, and we all already heard it more than once. But come to Paro or go to Paro in this connotation. It doesn't matter that much, but warn him that if he will not listen, then he will be the next marker. So it says there, "Ani ichbadeti et libo ve'et lev avadav." Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I made the heart of Paro and the heart of his servants and ministers heavy. That means numb and insensitive. And therefore they will become stubborn and they will not, I will take it sounds like I will take the power of choice away from them because they were so evil and torturing and cruel to you, and so stubborn and so antagonistic to the presence of God that I will yichbadeti et libo, I will make his heart heavy and stubborn, and he will refuse to let you go. The question is, if you made his heart stubborn and heavy, what's the point of telling Moshe Rabbeinu, go and warn him? It's not going to help. Why are you sending him to warn him? He lost his sensitivity. He's not going to respond correctly. You already shut his heart. So the Rambam explains it in a little bit harsh way. And the Rambam says that it's possible that a person will be so sinful, God forbid, and will do so many sins that the din milamayla, the judgment from above, will be that they don't even make it possible for the person. They make it for lamayla, from shamayim, from heaven. They make it hard for the person who sins a lot to do tshuva. And if he really did sin excessively, then they will make it milamayla so impossible that they will not give him reshus, permission, to do tshuva and to come back from his sinful way. So eventually he will die and his sin will lead him to being perished. And therefore it says in the Torah, says the Rambam, Ani achazek et lev Paro, I will make the heart of Paro stubborn and hard and rigid. Why? Because Paro of himself initiated so much sinning. He was so sinful and he was so cruel to the Jewish people. So he had to give the din. He had to be judged properly to take away the possibility of tshuva from him so he can be fully punished. And therefore Hashem chizek et libo, made his heart stubborn. So if this is the case, why is sending? So still the Rambam says to answer, okay, but if this is the case, why Hashem is sending Moshe Rabbeinu to tell Paro, well, I'm warning you, do tshuva, change your mind, because you're going to suffer. Why is warning you? Hashem closed the door on tshuva already by him. He has no chance. וכבר אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, אין אתה משלח. הקדוש ברוך הוא told Moshe Rabbeinu, Paro is not going to let go yet. He knew. So what's the point of telling him, do tshuva, warning him? Not going to happen. So Rambam says, well, כדי להודיע לבאי עולם, to let the world know. The Torah is letting the world know that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu prevents a sinful person from doing tshuva, he cannot do tshuva, and he will be perished, God forbid. So this is the way the Rambam looks at it. Okay. Very Musadik. So the way Rambam looks at it, there was not warning here. It was not warning, do tshuva, because Hashem told him, not going to help. Rather, it is in order to show the world that this is the path of the person who doesn't take any accountability for his sinful ways. He loses his possibility to do tshuva. This is, though, not the opinion of Rashi, says the Nesivos Shalom, and not others like the Chida in a book called Nachal Kdumim. They say that it was still possible for Paro to do tshuva, and therefore Moshe was sent to warn him. And what it says, Ani ichbadeti et libo, so what does it mean that Hashem made his heart heavy? It means that even though, and each one of us is going to learn a lesson from it, that even though Ani ichbadeti et libo, even though I made the heart of Paro heavy and stubborn, there is still a way to do tshuva, which means the way you look at naturally, al piteva, in a normal way, he lost his possibility to do tshuva. But he's still shayach to do tshuva even after Hashem shuts your heart. And I'm not going to take a long time to explain it, but the Chassidus explains that this is similar to the fact that we have two types of kochas within ourselves. We have two types of powers. We have powers that are normal, daily powers that we are well aware of, and we have daily access to them and so on, and we use them. And then there are kochos na'alamim. Each one of us has some hidden powers that at very extreme conditions or under danger, these powers come out, and they are not as limited. They are much more powerful and not limited as the normal powers we have. Now, the Rebbe explains that the same thing regarding tshuva. There is tshuva that is like the regular powers that we have. Tshuva tata, the lower level of tshuva. This is tshuva that we are often aware of and count on and many times use in order to come back to realign ourselves with Hashem. But there comes a time if a person has been a while that he's not successful and he's not doing well in whatever area, the regular tshuva will not help. Is not powerful enough, says the Rebbe. And therefore, you have to awaken, like a person that under danger has to awaken hidden powers, a person who became far from Hashem because he was sinful too often and too much. He needs to find not the natural way of tshuva. He needs to find a supernatural tshuva, an unusual tshuva, a higher tshuva, tshuva that is not regular, not normal. What is the way to access this tshuva, says the Chassidus? Through the emunah, through the faith that each one of us has, that the ultimate wish of Hashem and the will of Hashem is leval yidach mimeno nidach. The Rebbe many times says that nobody, no Jew should be left behind. Hashem doesn't want to give up on any person. And when a person remembers that Hashem loves me, and He doesn't want to give up on me under any circumstances, and nobody will be given up on. When we remember it in the darkest times, when a person doesn't find any path for himself to come back because he feels that he's so weak and he's so much caught and in captivity in the claws of the Yetzer Hara, and with his natural powers he cannot overcome. Yet he still knows and he believes that it is the will of Hashem that nobody should be severed from him, that nobody should be left behind. And therefore Hashem implanted deep inside each and any one of us hidden kochos, superhuman powers, supernatural powers that give us the strength and the ability and the possibility to return to our truth, to return to our full power, to return to our full light. Even in conditions that are inhuman, and to maintain that light. And this is what Chazal say about Menashe. King Menashe was very sinful, but he did tshuva, but he was very sinful about bad stuff. But then he really did tshuva, and he really humbled himself. So Chazal said that you know how Hashem let him come back and get hold of his kisei hakavod, of his throne of glory. You know what he did? He did a machteres. He dug a tunnel. You know what the tunnel of 770 come from? Maybe from that story. Hashem dug a special tunnel under kisei hakavod, under the throne of glory, so Menashe can crawl in and come back to God. In an unusual tshuva, b'machteres, a tunnel. All these horrible tunnels that were dug in by the enemies of the Jewish people should turn over to be tunnels that will enable each and one of us to hold the kisei hakavod. And Hashem enabled him to do tshuva, even though al piteva he was too far gone. And this is the lesson that Paro didn't want to learn. But Hashem is teaching us, the Torah is teaching us, don't be like Paro. Paro denied conduct which is a supernatural conduct. Mi Havaya, I don't recognize Havaya, I only recognize nature. Supernatural, faith in the supernatural, I don't recognize that. I don't accept that. And this is the message of the Torah to the Jewish people that tells us, remember Yetzias Mitzrayim every day. Don't forget. Because be'ofen tiv'i, al piteva, naturally, the Jewish people could not leave Mitzrayim. We were sunk in the 49 gates of Tuma. It was not possible to be redeemed. But there was faith. Vayamen ha'am. The Jewish people, even though there was such low condition, but they demonstrated emunah. Vayamen ha'am. That they believed, they followed Moshe believing that they do have supernatural powers, unlimited powers that Hashem implanted in the soul of each and every one of us. And in a commitment, out of a commitment of lo yidach mimeno nidach, nobody should be left behind or be forgotten. And because of that caused Hashem to skip the order of cause and effect that will reflect our low matzav, low condition, skip it all and redeem us. And this is the tzibui of the Torah, leman tizkor es yom tzedcha mi'eretz Mitzrayim kol yemei chayecha, all the days of your life. You need to remember the exodus of Mitzrayim. And Chazal say, kol yemei chayecha lerabos halelos, as we say in Seder Pesach, including the nights. Not only in the day you have to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim, but also at night, which means all conditions of darkness, that in a natural way you don't see a way out, and you want to become hopeless. A Yid has to believe and have faith that the supernatural is made available to him, and he himself, in himself, has supernatural powers that Hashem implanted that enable him to be rescued from the lowest conditions, from the darkest conditions. And that's why the Baal Shem Tov repeatedly said that we should really see the wonder of the Torah, mentioning again and again and again Yetzias Mitzrayim. Because we were so sunk in Tumah that we were hopeless, said the Baal Shem Tov. Nevertheless, Hashem dug a tunnel under Kisei HaKavod and revealed himself to them. So we should learn that this is the real power that we have, and coming back to Hashem is never impossible, and we have unlimited and very deep, powerful, intense powers and abilities to reveal that in our conduct and to experience that and to be redeemed on all levels. Which leads us to what the Rebbe said about Parashas Bo, and by this we will do it as short as possible, as I said before, and that is regarding the instruction Boel Paro, that Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm terrified, because now I will have power. Is already in a wrath. He is furious. And now I have to go idrin lefinimi idrin, cheder after cheder, chamber after chamber after chamber, to meet this dangerous snake. And Paro yelled at him, don't come back, because if you, next time you see me, you'll die. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, you're right. How come? So the Rebbe explains that the fear of Moshe Rabbeinu was the fear of Paro D'Kedusha, because Paro of Klippa is gone. We are done with him. But the Torah is eternal, and Paro still exists in Torah. Egypt, not much is left of Egypt. Paro is gone, the Nitzutzos are gone, the sparks are gone from Mitzrayim. But in the Torah, Paro is eternal. What is Paro in the Torah? The Rebbe says, Paro in the Torah is the Kedusha counterpart of Paro in the story. And that means, lifroa means to unravel the hair, like they used to do to the Soita, the woman who was suspected not being loyal to her husband. They unraveled and uncovered and unraveled the hair. It was a humiliating act. But lemaila, it means that all lights and all revelations are now spreading out in a manner of wildness and unrestrained, untied, unheld back. It denotes the highest levels of Gilui Elokus, of revelations of God, where he is not holding himself at all. To create our reality, to create the world, Hashem had to hide himself so much and cover up himself more and more and more with more garments and more garments and more garments, so we can tolerate his brightness. Otherwise, we are blinded by him. By what is Paro B'Kedusha? When Hashem doesn't have to cover himself up at all, and doesn't have to filter anything, he can reveal himself without any order, any limitation, infinitely. A total authentic expression. This is what power represents. Power b'kedusha. And for that, and that's connected to the Geula. Geulas Mitzrayim began with Boel Paro. The redemption begins with Boel Paro, says the Rebbe. So Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, you are right. There is a good reason to be afraid, because how can a limited, finite human being tolerate and contain Gilui Elokus, which means without any restraints? I will cease to exist. I will expire. And that's what Paro says. If you see my face, you will die. Moshe says to Hashem, he's right. If I see your face, I'll die. He's talking to Hashem. So Hashem says, well, we are beginning a Geula. And in Geula, you will not see me. We're talking about the Beis HaMikdash, the light of the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah had to be covered up more and more and more in order to reach every corner of the world. But Hashem doesn't want cover-ups anymore. He wants Geula. He wants to be revealed completely. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm afraid I can't be in this Geula. I will expire. I will lose my mitzius. I will lose my sense of self. It's too overwhelming. And Hashem says, don't worry. Boel Paro, I'm coming with you. I'm helping you to create you get the siyata deshmaya, you get the help from above, the empowerment from above, to be able now to tolerate the greatest giluim, the greatest revelations. And the Rebbe said, connected it with Yud Shvat, that the Frierdiker Rebbe reached that level of Boel Paro, of facing godliness in the most expansive, unrestrained way. But the Rebbe said the Frierdiker Rebbe reached it only after his neshama left the body. In our generation, the Rebbe says, we will experience it, neshamas in a guf, facing God the way He is, and not losing our sense of self. And Hashem is giving us now the power to do so. Today is Rosh Chodesh Shvat, and we'll mention tonight to tomorrow few meanings of the inyan of Shvat and tie it all together and connect it to Chaya Eidel Alea Shalom. I can't believe Alea Shalom. I can't believe this. I cannot see her out the window. I just, it's not real. It's not real for me that we speak about her in the past tense. It's just not, it didn't sink in, but we'll do what we can. In any case, Chodesh Shvat, Shevet, Shvat, the word Shvat. It says there is a prophecy, Lo Yasur Shevet Mi Yehuda. The Torah tells us that there will not removed a Shevet, a ruler, from the tribe of Yehuda. Ad ki yavo Shiloh. Until the Mashiach comes, called Shiloh here, which represents Malchus Beis David, which means Shvat, Shevet, means the scepter, the rod of the ruler. That's a Shevet Moshlim, it's called by the Navi. The ruler, the rod of the ruler. And when the Torah says, Vekam Shevet mi Yisrael, a Shevet will arise from Israel. Rambam says, Ze Melech HaMashiach. This is King Mashiach. And so a choter, Yetzah choter, says Yeshayahu, how do you call it in English? A choter, a little plant, will come out from the bottom of the tree, Migeza Yishai, from the tree trunk of Yishai, of David's family, V'netzer mishorashav yifre, V'hika eretz b'shevet piv. It says about Mashiach, Yeshayahu says, he will rule the land with the whip of his mouth, shevet piv. So we see the Shvat is connected with ruling, with leadership, with leaders, powerful leaders. So in Shvat, everyone has to connect and find the leader within himself, as well as revisit the grassroots of the leader of our generation. And I would like to connect it also, these meanings with Shvat, with Chaya Edel, that when it was needed, she didn't hesitate to take the leadership. She didn't need to be a leader, but when something needed to be done, she didn't hesitate to take the initiative and to take the leadership and make it happen. Even it's about making sure that everybody gets to the Tanya shiur and gets back home. The mazal of Shvat, the astrological sign of Shvat, is the dli, the bucket. And Chazal say that even though the Jewish people don't have a mazal, we are above the mazalos, above the astrological signs. But if we did, our mazal would be dli, the mazal of dli, of Shvat. Why? Because dli is a keli ameshamesh el hamayim. A bucket is a vessel that serves water. And ein mayim ela Torah. The Jewish people are the mashpia of the divine wisdom to the world. You use the bucket to draw water from the well. And so too, the Jewish people are drawing wisdom from the infinite divine wisdom and bringing it and pouring it onto the world. So we are a nation of service, like Dli, who is in the Meshamesh El Hamayim, who is a keli, which is a service keli for providing water and wisdom. And I can say about Chaya Edel that she was so much about service, which is bechlal the nature of a Jewish leader. That the Jewish king is so humble that the whole essence of a Jewish king is being in service. And we see it by the Rebbe. All in service. What did he take for himself? And this is Chaya Edel. What did she take for herself? Only for others, either for Hashem or for others. Ben Adam lamakom or Ben Adam lachaver or Ben Adam lamakom. Whenever I was in her presence, even though I was supposed to be, I was the mashpia, I was the teacher, and sometimes even asked personal advice here and there. But I felt when I was in her company that I want to be a better person. Even going in the car with her to the shiur. When I was in her mechitzata, in her territory, in her, how should I say, energy space, I wanted, even subconsciously, even not, it wasn't a logical process. I felt that I wanted to be a better person. LP Kabbalah, every month of the year has a letter that creates and governs and provides the energy for this month. Letter from the Aleph base. The month of Shvat is the letter Tzadik. Tzadik, the righteous man. Her Shloshim is Rosh Chodesh Shvat. The symbol of a Tzadik, of a perfect man, which is Basil Legani this year called Adam. What is Adam? A person who combines the Dam, the human aspect, the materialistic aspect, the Dam, the Daled Mem, the Dibur and Machshavos of this world, and combines it with the Aleph, with Etzem HaNefesh, with the divine, and makes them not split, one. That was Chaya Edel. And in a more simple way. Adam. The Arizal says that every month has a chush, a certain function of the nefesh. Really begins in the nefesh, but it's expressed physically. And the chush, the function of the month of Shvat is achila, eating. That month of Shvat is the month to the right time to strengthen the consciousness of how to eat consciously and how to eat healthily. And I can say about Chaya Edel that she paid attention to the health and the energy of food, and the health and the energy of even stones and crystals. She was interacting with the world in a healthy way, products of cleaning products, food, everything was thought out, chosen carefully. And the month of Shvat is also, every month has a connection with one of the Shvatim. And the Shevet of the month of Shvat is Shevet Asher. Shevet Asher was blessed with olive trees, olive oil. That olive oil represents Chokhmah, the Chokhmah Satayra, the Chokhmah of Hashem. And then we have Yud Shvat and Chavei Shvat, and in between Rosh Hashanah Lailanos, Imir Hashem will speak more next week. But it's a special time where the special energy of the month of Shvat is coming down into our nefesh, into the world. And there is an expression that sometimes it's the human simplicity. And simplicity, I don't mean primitive. I mean truthfulness is reflecting the pshitus of the Atzmus, the pshitus of Hashem. The truth is simple. God is simple. Truth is simple. And Chaya Edel is simple. The truth the way it is. And in a simple, humble way, hineni, like a soldier. Always there. What needs to be done? I'm here. So Chaya, she's giving us Chayus, thoughts about her and her energy and her presence, I feel is still here. And in Mirz Hashem, we still continue to participate in the Shiurim. And Bekarov Mamash will return Neshama Beguf in the Geula Amitis Vashlema and Tchias HaMeisim, where we will meet Hashem in a way of Boel Paro, that everything will be revealed and everything will be possible, and we will be all one together with our tzaddikim and our leaders and all the shvatim, and it should be take of miyad mamash, and should hear good news, miraculous news from all Jewish people, from the kidnapped, from those who need healing, from benefesh, and it should be the Geula Amitis Vashlema, take of miyad mamash now under the leadership of the Kam Shevet MiYisrael of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach, and should be taken miyad mamash now.